And we're back for episode 4. Ready, witchy, and twitchy. How you doing, bitch?
I'm doing bat-tastic.
You're doing bat-tastic?
Yeah. Feeling super witchy today. The stars are aligned. My Gemini is aligned with the 7th moon orbit.
Really?
Yeah.
Where'd you find that out?
There's just a couple sites that I use.
Yeah. You said the 7th moon. Is it like, we only have one moon, so would that be like Jupiter's moons?
Astronomically?
Yes.
That's correct.
Astronomically, okay.
Yeah, but in a real more medical?
Metawichical way?
Metawichical way. It's, there are 17 moons. And I'm on the 7th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you haven't even broken top 10.
Not yet. But,
yeah.
But once I do, it's going to be very witchy.
Yeah. We had talked about wanting to look up some things about witches, and I did look up a few things.
Oh, what'd you learn?
The most interesting thing I learned was that the reason they believe witches ride broomsticks is because there were these herbs that were used in rituals, and part of the way that they would take in the herbs was to rub it on their pussies. Like, literally? Like
with
a stick?
Broomstick?
Not a broomstick, but like whatever the herb was sort of like a root. And I don't know if they rubbed it, but they maybe placed it. And they would like get high and like kind of trip, and it was similar to floating. And that's where that comes from.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But
then no one was like off the ground. So they just saw these women rubbing roots on their vaginas.
Yeah. And then some guys were like, that is as terrifying to me as a person flying through the sky. It's just some people in the wilderness doing that. But I also found out that, a lot of the people that were tried in the witch trials were also men. The way that the facts about the witches were written was kind of like it was written by like a men's rights activist, because a lot of it was like men were also tried.
Who wrote this article?
I don't know. It was like 10 facts about witches.
Oh, that's good.
I read a lot of it, but most of it was not that interesting. It was just, Is there
a point where if we keep on talking about witches, we're going to know too much?
I would like to. I would like to have another layer to my life like that.
Yeah.
People would be like, oh, do you want to go see that new movie? Like the cute, scary one about the witches? And I'll just be like, I can't. It brings up too much. What is it, Halloween Town? Is that what the one with all the witches and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like it becomes triggering.
I would love someone, like if I was a witch, and someone's like, hey Dylan, how you doing? I'd be like,
I would, yeah, that would be more fun. What bums me out about that, though, is
ominous cloaks.
See, I like that, but the problem is, I try to learn about witches, and when you learn about stuff like that, it's not fun. I found out the reason that witches are associated with pointy hats is because, like, Jewish people at that time in, like, Europe would wear hats that were pointy. Actually, I think they were anointed by the Pope. It was like an anti-Semitic decree. So that whole pointy hat thing is just, it's rooted in anti-Semitism.
Jesus.
Yeah, the story of witches is not so much spooky as it is just awful. Kind of racist and anti-Semitic and sexist.
What's that famous book about that lady that goes on trial for being a witch, but obviously she's not a witch?
Oh, is it the Scarlet Letter, or is that another thing?
I don't know.
I think that's just another one where they were just mean to a lady for no reason.
Yeah, well, because she apparently had sex, or she did have sex.
Oh, well, then that's reason for trial.
Sure.
This is a really old-fashioned podcast, and by that I mean hundreds of years.
I tell you what, if pork butt was out in the 1600s, we'd be very cool.
It was funny, yeah. If this podcast was out in like 1650, we would be the most controversial thing in the world.
Wow. I don't know. There's lots to do about witches.
Yeah, but I don't know. I learned that about witches. We had a bit of a witchy encounter where we had a fucking bird fly into the window and kill itself.
Yeah. Yeah, about yesterday. Or the day before.
That's how we started the day.
Yeah, we heard this loud thud from downstairs. And we're all alone out here, so it was pretty terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
We hear this loud thud. And it was like, oh, okay, that's definitely in the house.
Yeah, because we've been worried about that. Because I've said, if somebody's breaking in here, it is to murder us. Like, if you're in the woods, nobody's just going to steal something.
Right.
So, yeah, we were worried, and then we walk outside.
But we did a dumb thing, because we were like, let's go check out the sound.
Oh, I think we had to.
We had to.
We can't be sitting ducks.
Yeah, that's true. So we went down, and I just saw like a dead bird on the other side of this glass window.
Well, that was so funny as it went from like kind of worried to you just being like, Cooper, there was a bird that killed itself. And then it was a 5-minute ordeal of getting a tiny shovel from the fireplace.
I dropped it a few times.
Yeah, you dropped it a lot.
I tried to do it, but birds are hard to get up onto a shovel.
I had to, it is, if people know what I'm talking about, it's like that 4-inch fireplace shovel. So it's not huge.
Right. It fit, it's about the size of a bird.
Yeah, so we're really working in narrow parameters. We had to do the thing where like I had to put my foot in front of the bird's back and you had to like put the shovel under it. Birds go real limp once they die.
Yeah.
It is all just floppy necks.
And we took it to the river because we figured, like, what else?
Yeah.
What else are we going to do? So we just threw a dead bird in the river.
After dropping it a few times along the way to the river. That was like 11 a.m.
Well, we found the source of the thud. I'm glad, in many ways, I was glad, even though it sucks that the bird's dead, I was glad it was that.
Oh, yeah. If we just didn't find anything...
Oh, God. It'd be terrifying.
I would just be waiting for the next one. I feel like if we didn't find it, we would probably have a discussion about leaving the cabin.
Probably.
Yeah.
This place is scary.
It does get a little spooky.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it's scary because, like, since we're in the woods, when we're, like, outside, if you can only see 10 feet, and then beyond that is just hundreds of miles of darkness. I mean, they're houses, but you can't see them, so it's just all darkness. And then just, potentially wolves staring at you.
Yeah. That's wild. We were talking about some bad dates that we had been on.
Yeah.
Can you tell them about that bad date you went on?
Yeah, well, this wasn't a date. It was it's fun to call it a relationship. It was a relationship I had in middle school where I dated a girl for one day. And in one class, I think it was before nutrition, she called me...
Well, how did you guys meet and, get to a point of wanting to date for the day?
Couldn't even tell you. I think it was the same with most middle school relationships where you just know a person and then you, text them. And you're like, do you want to be my girlfriend? And they're like, yeah. And then you just say the word girlfriend and boyfriend a lot,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think at that point there's much of a we met in the halls and then we had stuff in common. It was more just proximity. But she was very nice. And then in the first, we were in the first period that we had class together. So we were hanging out with someone and I made a joke. And we have joked about this of the partner that's like, oh, babe, and always way too embarrassed of stuff. And I think I made a joke that was I guess off color or just, like a cynical joke. And so she did the babe, babe.
Yeah, babe.
And we're 7th graders. And in my mind, I was like, why? We're in 7th grade. What is this whole oh, you can't say that. I don't know. But she said that. And then during nutrition, I went up to her and I was like, I think I even said it's not you, it's me. I think I said that. No,
well, why did you break up? Do you remember? Why did you not want to be with her?
Because she said, babe. And I was like...
On the first day you guys were dating?
Yeah. And I was just like... I think it was...
Do you think you have commitment issues?
Probably. I think so. At that point I did, at least. I think it's also like when you're in 7th grade, you like pretend that it's like more of a real relationship than it is. So I think part of myself was like, I don't like how she's trying to control me or probably some bullshit like that, you know? I don't think it had anything to do with like a lack of emotional connection or poor communication, because we had only had the time to speak as a couple for like an hour.
Okay.
And then, I went up to her and I was like, I think we gotta end things. and then she slapped me. It was like, ah! and then I just stood there. And I think I might have like kind of like laughed a little. And I don't know how she remembers that. Probably just as me being a dick.
God.
Yeah.
Well, middle school was tough, man.
Yeah. I had a lot of day-long relationships in middle school.
Slut.
Yeah, I was a slut. I had like 8 of those, you know?
Oh my God.
Yeah. I remember another one where I had texted a girl. I asked her if she wanted to be my girlfriend. She said yes. And then the next day, I don't even think I had seen her yet during the day. And then one of my friends was like, I heard she likes that other guy. And he might have said, like, and I think she's dating you because she wants him to like him, her to like him. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I just, like, went up to her again at, like, lunch and was like, Brittany, we have to break up. And then she was like, what? And I was like, it's done. And I walked away. And I was such a dick in middle school, but much more steadfast than now. I really made decisions. I didn't ponder things a lot, you know? But
you're assertive, huh?
I guess. I mean, I would say I feel bad, but also I don't think I had ever dated a person long enough for it to really be a mean thing to do.
Yeah, you gotta cut ties.
Yeah, so.
You know, sometimes you just like gotta say, hey, you're not right for me, babe.
Yeah.
I'm in 7th grade. I know what I'm about.
Yeah.
I have a milk carton.
Yeah.
And I don't fucking need you.
Yeah. I fucking
Who the fuck do you think you are to come and take over me? I just got out of social studies.
Yeah.
I just learned about George Washington. And you have the fucking audacity to be following me around everywhere I go, make me look like a fucking pussy in front of my friends.
Don't you know I'm trying to wrench it here? You take the tiny milk carton, you throw it against the wall. Don't you see what you're doing to me? Don't you see how people...
Look what you made me do, bitch! God. I'm in 7th grade. Shit's hard.
Just like having a meltdown on the 8th grade lawn.
Just drinking a milk carton. Ah!
Remember another time I was dating another girl in middle school.
How were you? Go ahead.
It's just I thought of it. I was about to ask you about your escapades because I know you have a lot.
No, I know this is the Cooper Line podcast, so let's keep it going.
Well, I'm just I'm trying to keep a natural flow to things before you pick up the fucking dictionary again.
Don't make me do it because I will. I'll pick up a dictionary.
I just remember there was at lunch and like one of her friends whispered to me and she was like, "Go make out with her right now." But the thing is we were all sitting around the table, and like,
and the girl was on the other side of the table or something.
Yeah, and like, but even then, that wasn't my problem. I was like, we're all sitting here, and they were like, she was like, just go up to her and just like start making out with her, and she was trying to be like, that's like what couples do, and like, even in middle school, I was like, no, it's not. You don't just like go up to who you're with and just start making out. Like, imagine if you were with someone right now and you were with your friends and they just came up to you and they were like, hey, and then just started making out with you. Like, what the fuck is your problem?
I hate PDA.
So do I. So I was like, that was my thing where I was like, I don't want to be a part of it, and I didn't. But I mean, that's just in a long string of.
There's too many couples out there, way too comfortable with their love.
Yeah, it's really awful.
Shut that shit down.
Shut it down.
Keep it in a box. Keep it in the bedroom. Sometimes I feel bigoted. Like sometimes. You know how there's those homophobic people that are like, oh, I don't care what they do as long as it stays in the bedroom?
Yeah.
I get it. but it should apply to everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody should just keep it in the bedroom always.
Yeah.
Because I'm tired of walking on the streets. I mean, not anymore, but you see two, like, people with masks on. It's just, like, way too comfortable, and it's like, what are you trying to prove to everyone else? That you have, like, a girlfriend or a boyfriend?
It's very insecure. What I think is funny about, like, the being like, homophobic about PDA is, like, why are you allocating that to only gay people?
Yeah, it's disgusting
I hate
for
seeing
everybody.
all people kiss. It's so gross.
Yeah. People, this is my level of PDA. People are allowed to give each other a kiss 1 second or less when they first meet and when they leave, if they're leaving each other.
And
other than that, get the fuck out.
Yeah. And there should kind of be, like, no romance in the kiss. Like, there shouldn't be, like, even eye contact. There shouldn't even be a thought. It's just like, okay, bye.
It's like a gangster kiss.
Yeah, good to see. Yeah. It's
yeah.
like, this is, of course, happening to just remind us that we are together.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like a good kind of couple where, like, you're on a date with them, like a double date, and they're just eating their food. And there's even if a hand goes over, like, none of that. Just none of that. And, like,
AMC's, you know how now they have, like, the fancy chairs in the movie theaters?
Yeah.
And they can take off the middle section. I've seen too many couples. It's just like, you're around 120 people. Yeah. This is different if there's, like, 6 people in the movie theater. But you shouldn't be on top of each other. Yeah. During a movie. Yeah, that's what I hate. It's like, you're an adult. You can fuck at home. So you don't have to make out here. Right. If you're in middle school and you're making out, it's like, whatever. You can't go to your house, I guess. Still annoying. Holding hands is acceptable, but almost crossing the line. And it's also like, I don't. Do you have to? Do you even enjoy holding hands? Who really enjoys it? I mean, I always, whenever I'm in a relationship or I'm dating someone, I can't do it. Yeah. Holding hands in public really makes me uncomfortable. It just makes you feel like some kind of Boy Scout. Like, this is the thing I'm a part of. And, like, people have to see it. And it's just like... Right. What I think about a lot of those... And then it's like, my hand's sweaty. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's making my hand too hot. Yeah. I'm trying to, like, be a person. Yeah. A lot of romantic things are I'm trying to catch some ass. Stop making me look like such a fucking nerd over here. Yeah. You're my homebody. I think it's funny though, because a lot of, like, romantic things are not like that, like, logistically legit. They don't make a lot of sense. Like cuddling. I can't sleep cuddling. You know what I mean? Like, you'll, like, cuddle after sex for a little because it's weird to just be, like, on other sides of the bed all of a sudden. But, like, I can't, like, go to bed with, like, my arm, like, under a person's neck, you know? Yeah. And then it's like... Well, I'm a big cuddler, but only in the late hours of the night. Once sex happens, a climax, I get out of the bed and I sit in a chair. And I wait for them to fall asleep. And they're like, what are you doing? And you're like, go to bed. Go to bed? I'll be staring at you until you do. No, I do... Okay. I enjoy cuddling, but if it gets too hot, and then I've been in, like, you know, like, a relationship where it's like, the sentiment is nice, but it's 5 a.m. Yeah. And, you know, because it's like when you're, like, in a relationship or dating or whatever, you're with someone in a bed, and they wake you up with their cuddling. Right. Get away. Yeah. And then it's like, also, if you're cuddling... and you have someone's arm under someone, guess you're going to be there for 8 hours. And that's immediately my thought. Because, like, I move around so much when I sleep. I roll for, like, 30 fucking, like, so many revolutions before I can go to sleep. So the minute my arm's under, I'm just like, 8 hours? Yeah. I get anxiety. I can't think. I think real love... And then you have to wake them up by pulling your arm out. And by that time, they want to switch to a different cuddle position. Yeah. Or they're like, oh, why don't you want to cuddle with me? And you're like, because my arm... Because think about it. Yeah. I think it's like real love is just accepting that, like, no, I don't want to fucking fall asleep cuddling. That's like a kind of a beautiful love. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I don't want to fucking kiss you in public. It's comfortable to sleep this way. It's like a certain trust. You know what I mean? Well, we had those during the beginning of our quarantine, we had a couple staying here that were way too into PDA.
Yeah.
To the point where it was ridiculous.
Yeah, and eventually, like, the boyfriend got way more annoying. But I first saw the PDA, and it wasn't. I knew that it was.
We were at a dinner table, and they were like sitting in the same chair.
Yeah, I don't think she liked it.
I don't think she did either. I think it made her uncomfortable deep down, but she couldn't say that.
Well, that's what I'm saying about a lot of those relationships. Is I think with the big PDA relationships, I think it's usually one person. The other person is like, I like them, and it's really... PDA is hard to say no to.
Yeah.
Because it's like saying, like, no, I don't want you. But it's not. I remember, though, the first night, I knew that he was a fucking freak, and dear God, I hope they're broken up, because if they aren't, he might have buried her already. But, alive. But...
What was his name again?
Isaiah.
Yeah.
Yikes. Fucking cunt. But I remember she was like, oh, I'm going to go get my shirt. And then he was like, I'm going to go kiss you. And then she went, okay.
She'd move across the room to get a water. And he'd like come from behind and like hump her on the way to water.
Yeah, I am not a fan of the unprompted back hug, you know, where it's like a person just picking up their stuff and then it's just like, here I am. And it's just like, get off of them.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And it's different if everyone's chilling and like maybe they're on a couch with like two seats.
Yeah.
That makes like more sense.
Yeah.
You know, like kind of like up against each other.
Right.
But this was like, he would see her having her own thoughts and opinions and he would try to smother it with PDA.
Yeah. Just like physically drown out independence from her. Just like, fucking, I love you. Yeah, like, I literally would not have been surprised if we were just sitting on the couch and they just started putting his hand over her mouth. Like, if he did that, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
like,
just sticking his finger in her mouth. Disgusting.
It was close to that.
It was so close to that.
It was funny, too, because all they would do most of the day was fuck. Like
these walls are thin in this cabin. But they weren't doing any job to quiet down.
No. Real loud fucking, weird fucking, for some reason, like, they didn't moan, they, like, laughed, but you knew it was fucking because of how, like, of what the context of it and the other sounds.
It was sex laughing.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like her fucking pussy was ticklish or something. I don't even know.
He was ridiculous. Yeah. And PDA people should grow up.
They should grow up. And their PDA people are kind of all kinds of bad. Because, I mean, we talked about him a lot. I don't think we haven't talked about him on the podcast, though.
No.
Yeah,
we did, and then we deleted an episode because we had said so many bad things in one episode that we had to discard the evidence.
And to be clear, by bad, we simply just mean not entertaining.
Right.
Like, not even controversial.
Not controversial.
Not funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this guy was awful, and he just got even worse. Because PDA, like you were saying, very immature thing to do. And
well, also, he was, what, like 20?
He was 19.
He was 19, and she was like 25 or 24 or 25.
Yeah. And he was like a really insecure guy because he was like, he made it clear that he was like, I'm a freshman, she's a senior. And he thought that was really cool, but when he said that, I was like, oh, she hasn't realized that she's like a way better person than she might think she is. Which is not a diss on her, but I'm like, just based off who you are, it's not like there's something.
You're trash.
Yeah, like you're so bad, and she's a very nice person. She's very agreeable, nice, fun, went with the flow of things. And then there's just this guy who was fucking awful. He was the kind of guy that just wanted to seem like he knew everything. Like, I remember one night we were like drinking whiskey with apple juice, and then he was like, what are you guys drinking? And we were like, oh, it's whiskey with apple juice. He goes, that's cute. By the way, he's like 19. I mean, I'm only 20, but once again, still the youngest guy.
Well, you don't act like a douchebag.
Yeah, and
he kept on making things like that the whole trip. He was like one of those guys. Well, first off, he tells us that he's pan. Yeah. And then the rest of the trip, he makes these odd little comments about like, apple juice and whiskey? That's cute.
Yeah,
I think you have no jurisdiction here.
Yeah, it didn't even make sense because it's like we were talking about, like, it's so weird to call apple juice and whiskey a gay drink because it's like, it's not even like a known drink. It doesn't even have a reputation. So it's so weird to be like, oh, you mean that gay thing? And you're like, I think you have issues. I don't know what they are, but you need to...
He's probably just 19, but he's one of those guys, and we've talked about this. He's one of those guys that calls his girlfriend babe all the time, but I swear to God, this guy in an hour said babe at least 120 times.
Yeah, we counted. I remember, like...
At least 2 times a minute.
I think in 5 minutes I counted 11.
Jesus.
Yeah, I counted for, like, about 5 minutes. And it was terribly so immature. Like, after he made fun of us for drinking the whiskey with apple juice, he drank my whiskey and made a drink with it. He made the whiskey and apple juice. It's like this... It was just this whole facade.
Cocksucker.
Such a cocksucker. Because when we were first talking about...
Not in a hot way, either.
No. That was the funny thing, is because we were in the car driving with them, and I had mentioned that I'm pansexual because I was talking about a joke. I want to be clear. I do not bring that up in conversation. And I mentioned it, and then him and his girlfriend...
You're not on the podcast.
It's part of the freaking story.
Okay.
Okay?
Go ahead.
It's part of my story. My pan story.
Yeah.
Can we change the podcast to my pan story? Anyway.
Cooper's Big Pan Story.
But I had mentioned that, and then him and his girlfriend were like, oh, we're both pan. And then you had mentioned that you were gay, or they already knew that. And then there's this weird thing where me and you, every so often, would be like, does it seem like they're trying to fuck us?
I had no idea. Because then she asked, she's like, so Dylan, like, because she already knew I was gay, but then they're like, so Dylan, are you pan at all? And I was like, nah, sweetie. I'm just gay.
Just the cock for me.
You know? And she, I don't know. Yeah, there's this odd tension.
But then it got to a point where he was so awful that we both came to the conclusion independently that even if they wanted to fuck us, we would not because of how annoying he was.
Yeah, exactly. And aesthetically, he was, like, good looking. And she was good looking and cool.
Yeah.
But he was so awful that all that went out the window.
All of it. He did so many things to just ruin who he could have been as a person. And it was funny because when we first showed up to the cabin and there were the 4 of them here, I was like, oh, I don't want to be the weird guy because I'm always worried about making people uncomfortable.
Sorry, what was her name again? Amy? No.
I mean, I don't even want to say her name. I don't remember it, but even if I did, she doesn't even deserve to be named.
What? She was cool.
No, I'm saying she was. I'm saying she was such a good person. I don't even want her to have to be associated with.
Okay.
It was something like Cindy though. I'm sure we'll remember it, but
it wasn't.
But it was a why.
But that should say something that we remembered his name just because of how awful this guy was.
Oh, I'll remember his name.
He's like, hey babe.
Yeah.
Hey babe, come over here. Hey babe.
I said it.
I love you, babe. Oh, babe, you're my baby, babe. You're my little baby. I'm a little baby, and you're like, you're my little sex baby.
You're my little baby.
Baby.
Well, that's what's...
Oh, baby.
That's what's funny about even if you just say, hey, babe, it sounds to me like going, babe.
Babe.
Oh, babe.
Hey, babe.
It was kind of like he was always about to come.
I'm going to take a shit and I'm going to come at the same time, baby. Oh, baby, you want me to shit?
Oh, fuck. God. Can I kiss you in front of all these people? But yeah,
disgusting.
He was awful. Just like any little thing. And I remember when like a couple days into knowing him, I had the thought of, I will never forget this person because of how awful he was. Like he was the kind of person... Huh? Yeah, because he wasn't just awful as he was kind of like, he was predictable. Like, that's kind of why he was awful, because it's like some people that are awful you meet and you're like, oh, you're kind of like unique in how terrible you are. Like a few people I've met in comedy, I'm like, I haven't met someone like you. And I'm glad because you're so awful. But he was the kind of guy that I've met where I'm like,
Shout out to Polly Wally.
Shout out Polly Wally. Shout out Reverend Johnny Stewart. Shout out half the fucking comedy scene. That's not true. But he was like kind of bad where I'm like, you're so annoying and I've met you before and I'm like so tired of knowing exactly what you're going to do. I remember one time I was fucking trying to get ice out of the ice tray. And I was like,
you were so pissed, by the way.
How could I not be?
Yeah. But tell a story.
But I was trying to crack it, and here's the thing. You know, I'm a boozy bitch. I grew up with an ice machine. We just had a little trough for it. I didn't have to break stuff out of a tray. I'm sorry. Okay, it's how I'm living. It's pretty regular.
Sorry.
Listen,
sorry,
guys.
our ice cubes.
Listen, guys.
Weren't up to your fucking standards.
I mean, I've just never lived in such squalor, so it was just like a learning experience. It was kind of like going to the Philippines, and you're like, oh wow, like there's no running water here.
Right.
Like, it was interesting to just like see how. Whatever you guys call yourselves live. People? I don't know. But I was trying to get the ice out of the tray, and I was cracking it. It was a bit. I was cracking it just like straight forward, and then he came up to me and he goes, brother. He said brother. He goes, brother, and he takes it out of my hands and he goes, do you ever just, and he timed it that when he said just, he twisted the ice tray and all the ice cubes came out, and then he looked at me like, don't you get it? like, don't you understand, you stupid fuck? And then I was just like, I mean, I kind of talked shit to him a couple times, but sort of just like implicitly.
Passive.
Yeah, I think the most I said was he was talking all the shit. I think it was the same night, because it was a bad night for him. He was making fun of us for the apple whiskeys. He was giving me shit about the ice tray, and he said some other shit. And then I said to him, I was like, man, it sounds like you've never been around more than 3 people. And then he kind of laughed, but then he started talking to his girlfriend, and he started counting the amount of people that he knows, and he counted 5? And then his girlfriend counted 4, and like 2 of those people were like the same in both group. And it was just like, he didn't even know what he was doing, but I just looked at him and I was like, oh, okay. You're not well. Like, you're not a person. That was kind of...
Because he didn't know people?
I mean, I think if you can count the amount of people that you know on your hand, I don't know how to, like, have a conversation with you. Like, I'm not, like, a popular guy. I don't have a lot of friends. I'm not well-liked. But I know people. I couldn't count them on one hand. So it's like for him to just be like, this is the range of people that I know, and it's 5? At that point, I was just like, well, then it's hard to treat you with respect at this point, because you've been such a cunt, and now I know that your social range is limited to 5 at most. So we're not going to get anywhere.
And we never did. And they left.
And when they left, we screamed a sigh of relief. I mean...
Oh, isn't that the best feeling? It's like, everyone's had this feeling where there's someone that you have to be around that you just hate, and everyone hates, but no one can say anything. And then the person leaves, and you just see them, like, just like, go out of eyesight, and the second they go out of eyesight, everyone turns to each other like... That fucking guy, right?
Yeah.
Is everyone ready to talk for an hour?
Yeah. It's
about
like
how shitty this
it's like being on a silent retreat, except you can talk about anything except the one thing you want to talk about. And that's what it was like for like 5 days. Because I remember all those 5 days is like, because like even when we're outside, you can hear from the inside. So we really couldn't talk shit about him at all. And I remember like once he left, because like all we had done the 5 days was just give each other looks. And that was like the only tension reliever, is like he would be a cunt, and then we would just be like, and then we would like, that was the only way that I stayed sane. Where like if I looked at you and you were like, what? I would have left the cabin.
Yeah. I can't talk about this anymore. I feel myself getting angry over something in the past.
Yeah.
And I'm not funny when I can't do it anymore. It's getting too much into a negative space and I can't handle it.
Honestly. I understand it. What
time are we at, by the way? I want to start timing these things so we don't have either 20-minute episodes or 4.5 episodes.
Let me look really quick. I was actually starting to think that too, because the first time we talked about it, it's like we had so much energy because he was so annoying that we were letting it out. But now it's just like this like gross scar from the past.
Can't talk about it anymore. We were talking about bad dates and bad relationships.
Yeah, and you had told me about a funny one.
I got a few.
Yeah.
There's this guy...
Lived a peppered life.
Lived peppered life. Did you find out the time?
17 minutes.
Okay.
We're popping off. We're hitting our stride right now.
Okay. So,
we've gotten into the hardcore listener section of the show.
So let's go for another hour. So at 2:30 we'll start.
Yeah, baby.
So, yeah, I've had a couple. I think mostly in college. But there was this one guy, Ben, and he lived just outside the city in some suburb. I went to school in Chicago. And we met, like, online or whatever. And he seemed really cool, as they often do in the beginning. And so I went out on a train to go see him. Our first date.
How far was it?
Maybe like hour and a half train trip.
Oh, damn.
Maybe an hour.
A little bit out of the way.
Yeah, but the trains were really efficient there. So it was just like, you know what? I'll try it. I got nothing going on.
Right.
I was just doing school, so,
yeah.
You know. And I like traveling. I like going on trains.
Sure.
Amtrak is a friend of mine. Greyhound is a friend of mine.
Love a train.
I like meeting strangers. I like talking to new people. And he seemed normal, as they often do.
And how old were you?
I must have been like 20.
Okay, right.
So I go out into his neighborhood, and one, he doesn't have a car.
Great.
And we meet at...
So when you get off the train, are you like, hey, can you pick me up? And he's just like, no.
I don't have a car, but we're supposed to meet at this restaurant. He was like, it must have been like an hour late.
He was an hour late?
Yeah. But then, so we met and we were walking around, and he's like, do you want to go to this restaurant? And I was like, yeah, let's go to this restaurant, you know?
It's all normal.
Things are fine, you know? He's like, decent, whatever.
Right.
And then he's like, okay, so my friends are going to pick us up, and we're going to go to this restaurant.
With his friends?
With his friends, who are a couple, right?
He didn't tell you that he wanted to do a double date?
Well, he didn't tell me that he didn't have a car. So...
There's already two bad lies to begin with.
Yeah. So then we go to this restaurant with this couple friends, and we're just like all talking. I'm like, okay, whatever, you know, this is fine. Yeah. I like meeting new people. It's fun.
Right.
And then Ben, my date, goes to the bathroom, and his friends like lean in and like, what are your intentions with Ben? And I was like, this is a first date, you know?
Do you think you told him to ask you that?
Yes, because they did this follow-up question. And there was just this couple, and they were nice enough, you know, like normal.
Also 20?
No, they were a little older.
Okay.
But then, so they asked, what are your intentions with Ben? And I'm like, I just think he's cool.
Yeah, you're like, to be on this date? I don't fucking know the guy.
Yeah. So, and they're like, Ben really likes you, and we really like you too. You should try to date. I was like, what? I don't know. So they were obviously put up to this.
Yeah. Oh, I wish.
And how did you know? From the time that I got off the train to like mid-meal at this restaurant, so I was like, okay, things are getting a little weird.
Yeah, it sounds like you're about to be killed. That's what's funny too. Is like, I wish at that age, or really at any age, I wish you would have had the gumption to just be like, I see what the fuck you're doing, and you're all crazy, and you just walk out.
They were all crazy.
That's fucked up. Is you didn't have a date with one crazy person, you had a date with 3 crazy people.
I was outnumbered. I was totally
there was nowhere to go.
Yeah, I couldn't leave.
Yeah, and at this point you know it's fucked up.
Too far from the train.
Yeah.
I didn't even think that town that they were in had like Uber or anything.
It was a small town.
It was a small town. It was like a suburban town. So
you notice all the stores are just like, there's nothing behind them. It's just a set.
So yeah, and then even worse, the check comes, and they look at me to pay. They look at me to pay this bill
for all of them.
For all of them.
Not even like
and other couples ordering like fucking wine. And it's this like sit down restaurant, and it's like it wasn't that expensive, but I was also 20. It's not
obviously you don't want to spend like $60.
Yeah, like $60-$70 is a lot of money for me. So I was just like, I better get laid. But at the same time, it's like, do I even want to?
And you did.
But at this point, I was like, maybe he was nervous. I was just like young and naive.
Yeah.
And just a stupid guy. So I picked up the tab, and then...
And so there wasn't even like you weren't even, like, you just saw their look and you just took it?
No, there was like... It was like a thing of like... like Ben forgot his wallet, and they might have chipped in like $8 cash.
What?
Yeah.
It's like some kind of...
It felt like it was all a ploy for these people to get a free meal.
It sounds like a meal scam is what it sounds like. It's like, it'll be funny if they're like not crazy, they're really smart, and they're like, we're going to scam him out of money, and we're going to ask such weird questions, he thinks we'll kill him, and he'll just fucking pay it. Like,
because we've got the car.
That'd be funny if you stopped
to get back to the train station.
If you stop to get gas, and they look at you, and he's like, can you get the gas? And you start paying for everything.
It was crazy. And so, even after all this, I'm like, okay, we'll just hang out at your house, I guess.
Yeah.
And they're like, actually, we can't, like, hang out at my house, but I have to go get some things from my house real quick. And I guess, like, on the way over there, he's like, oh, yeah, like, I think I might have known that before that he, like, lived with his folks, because he was like 20, but he wasn't really doing anything.
Right.
So his friends drive us over to the house, and we pull up, and his mom and dad are outside, and they're furious.
And how do you know they're furious? Like, just by visual, or like...
They see Ben, and they're like... I think the mom was outside first, like, waiting on the porch. It was, like, cinematic.
I love that you're just a part of this whole grand thing, and it was just, like, gonna be this little date.
Idea. Yeah, it was supposed to be a casual first date.
All of a sudden, you're, like, the love interest they hate. You're like, and you're out with this fucker.
Yeah. So, apparently, I don't know if his parents weren't cool with him being gay, or what. He hadn't, like, done some stuff he was supposed to, or wasn't supposed to go out in the first place.
Yeah.
He goes in the house, and the door's open, and they're all yelling at each other. And I'm sitting in the car, and the fucking dad is, like, scowling at me. And I'm like, I don't know what to do.
He's like, you ruined our boy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think he had said, like, I was his boyfriend or something.
Sounds like you probably would, this guy.
Yeah, so they're all screaming at each other. The mom's, like, pulling on his shirt.
It's getting physical.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So he comes back because he had to get, like, clothes or whatever, and then we're driving. We finally get out of that fucking situation. I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and you don't feel comfortable enough to just ask to drop you off somewhere.
I would, but at this point, there's no more trains going back into the city. I'm there.
How late is this?
This is in the evening, but the friends had to drive somewhere else or whatever, and so yeah, the friends eventually were like, can we go over to your guys' house? You guys have a house? Can we go there?
To your house.
To their house.
Okay.
To their house. Because they had their own, like, setup.
Yeah.
And they're like, nah, we can't tonight. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? And then it was like, well, can we go back to your parents' house after they calm down and, like, hang out?
Yeah.
You know? And he's like, no, they're just super pissed.
Wait, so what was even the plan, though? Because if his friends couldn't have you over to their house...
He had told me, he's like, yeah, we can crash at my friend's place. That was the plan.
And then they just backed out.
And they backed out. And so now...
He's like, no, dude, my parents are pissed. You saw them.
Yeah.
He's like, what if he gets mad at you? He's like, why would you even ask?
What the fuck, dude? So now it gets in the evening, the friends bail... And I'm like, so what are we going to do?
But bail as in they just drop you off somewhere?
Yes.
Where?
At an export. It's like a 24-hour fitness, a gym. Right?
What?
So we get dropped off at this gym to kill some time? We have to stay there overnight.
And you know all of this.
Yeah, and I'm in the gym with like fucking jeans on for like 7 hours.
And you're just like walking around the gym?
Yeah, there's Ben finds this room that's got a massage table on it, and he's like, we should try to sleep. But the door doesn't have a lock on it. So we're just in there in the gym, and I was like, oh, we can't do this. So I maybe passed out for like a half hour, and then I passed out on a massage table for like half an hour. But then there's like some like wiggling of the door or something like that. So we're like, oh God, I can't. So it's just like for like at least 6 hours in this 24-hour gym with jeans on. It's just us and the staff and that one crazy guy that's at the gym at 4 a.m.
Yeah, and nobody's like telling you to leave.
No, because it's a gym, and I had a membership in the city to the chain, so I could be there. I don't even think he had a membership.
Oh, so was it your idea to go to the gym of like...
I forget whose idea. I was just like, well, your friends bailed on us. Your parents want to kill you.
For reasons that you have not disclosed.
Yeah, you're not putting out. There wouldn't be a place even if you did.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, fine.
Right.
Fine. So we wait until the morning, the first train going back to the city. And he just has this emotional breakdown. He's like, my parents aren't, like, cool with me, blah, blah, blah. They're so pissed. He's like, can I stay with you for a couple days in the city? And I was just like, I don't know if it was exhaustion of what was happening.
Yeah.
I was so tired.
Yeah.
But I was like, sure, you can crash for a night.
Oh, no.
Big mistake.
Knowing this guy is not going to be a night.
No. And it wasn't.
It's so funny that, like, I'm going through the steps you went through on the date where you're like, I had a bad date. And now I'm realizing that it's been a day and it's going to be more days.
It's going to be... It started off as a thing I was supposed to... We were hanging out a couple hours, hang out at their friend's place.
Yeah.
It was a couple. So we go back and I'm like, fucking fine. What am I going to do? Like his parents fucking hate him.
Right.
Apparently he's like, yeah, I can't go back. Like,
you're like, wait.
What the fuck are you talking about?
You're like, wait, you got kicked out the day we met?
Kicked out because they were pissed that he was going out.
What if his parents were also in on it? We're going to help you move in with a guy.
Oh my God.
So we'll pretend to be homophobic.
So we go back to the city. I have an apartment in Chicago with my roommate. He meets with my roommates, and the longer I spend time with this guy, the more it sinks in that he's fucking weird. He's real fucking weird. I could see why his parents don't like him.
Yeah. Weird how.
That's me. But
No, it's okay.
It was true. He would like, okay, he would talk in like these little whispers. Like he'd be like, Hey, Dylan, when you're talking?
Like trying to, like a cool whisper? Like trying to be cool?
Yeah, it's like you're trying to be cool. It's like, hey, like when you're saying, like, do trains and that. It's like...
And you're just there like, what?
Yeah, I was tired, so I was getting more blood. I was like, what?
Yeah.
So he stays there, and oh my God, I'm so exhausted. I'm gonna get like a couple hours of sleep at my place or whatever.
Are you sleeping in the same bed?
Yeah, I have my own room and stuff. Yeah. And, he like goes down on me or whatever. And later that day, I gotta wake up because at this time, I was doing like some school projects where I was on a film set. I was helping out some of my buddies. Yeah. My roommate and his girlfriend at the time she was shooting something, so we were going over there to help out, and he's like a DP, and I was just gonna do some like PA stuff to help them out.
Right.
So we go over there, and I was like, well, I'm not leaving this fucking weirdo at our place.
Right.
So he has to come with us.
It's gonna smell all your shit.
Yeah. So it's gonna smell.
Yeah. He's not gonna move anything, but he's gonna put his dick on it.
So we go over there, and I'm working. I'm like, hey, I'll just like hang out. I was nice. I like introduced him to people. I was like, oh, this is my buddy. Right. But then during that day, so this is the second day after this fucking wild fiasco. Yeah. He's calling me babe, and like, hey babe, like, what's your eyes? I can't deal with this right now.
My boyfriend makes movies.
Yeah. So then he's talking to this woman, Angelica, who's my friend. She was directing the short or whatever. And he's just talking to her. They're just talking, and he's like, he's like, yeah, I just like really like drinking. Like, Dylan's got like great tasting cum, which was a great compliment, but fucking weird.
He just went down on you once.
Once, twice, whatever it was.
Okay, yeah, whatever.
And he was like, yeah, I could just like drink his cum all day.
And she's like trying to direct.
He had met her like 20 minutes ago, and he's calling me babe, and he's going to my friends and saying weird stuff about my tasty cum.
And now they think you're weird.
And now they think I'm like, I try to like give them signals that I'm like, this guy's crazy.
Yeah.
I have to give him out.
Yeah.
So then he's just like, that ends. And he's back on my place, and then he stays like another day, and then I was just like, hey, dude, like...
You let him stay another night?
Yeah, I think it was like one more night or whatever.
God damn.
Because he was like, yeah, I just like, can't go home and parents are like still super pissed at me.
And he's like trying to act like you get it.
Yeah.
Where he's like, you know how it is. And you're like, I don't understand your life at all.
And he had those parents that were like crazy in the sense of like, bro, you're like 20 or whatever. We're both like 20. Like, what do your parents have?
Yeah,
going on?
You're like, why don't you have a conversation with them?
Apparently, they didn't even like. I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently they didn't even like know he was gay, or he had like a history of like falling in love quick or something. So eventually,
really?
Yeah,
this guy?
Yeah, he's calling me babe on the second day. So I'm like, dude, like, I sit him down, I'm like, hey, Ben, you gotta go, man. You just gotta go. I'll buy your train ticket so you can get back home. But I gotta do a bunch of stuff, which was a lie. I didn't really have much going on.
Yeah, of course.
It's like, I gotta do a bunch of stuff. My schedule's just crazy. I'm 20.
I'm 20 years old. I gotta do another short.
Yeah. So I'm like, you gotta go, man. And so he gets all like pissed, and he's like, well, like, when are we gonna do this again? And I'm like, I don't know if this is really gonna like work out or whatever.
You're like, I don't know if you have been able to trace the events that have happened.
Yeah. He's like, fine, I'll just like leave him, blah, blah, blah. He's like, well, oh no, he didn't. This is what happened. He's like, well, like, because he was so clean, I was like, okay, I've just gotta, because he's like, oh no, just come work, baby. And I'm like, no. He's like, tell you what, like, can I borrow your guitar? And then we can meet up again. And I was just like, no, I gotta keep it because it's like whatever. And then he's like, well, I can just like blah, blah, blah. And at this point, I was like, I gotta get him out. So I'm like, yeah, just take the guitar, we'll meet up again.
Was that his reasoning of like, if I take your guitar, we can see each other again?
I think it was subconsciously collateral.
Yeah. But what was the conscious reason?
I don't even know if he asked me. That's the part where I don't exactly remember. I just remember him leaving finally. Thank God. I bought him an Uber and money for a train. Just so I was like, bro, like, get the fuck out.
With your guitar.
He leaves with my guitar.
Yeah.
And then I asked for it like later. I was like, hey, I gotta get that guitar back.
Yeah.
And he's like, And I was just like, you know what? Keep the guitar. Guitar was easily $500.
You're like, you're so annoying I would give away this guitar.
That I'm giving away this guitar.
You're like, and I like this guitar a lot, but I hate you more.
Yes. So, it was a first date that led to like a 3-night thing that probably cost me close to $1,000.
Really?
Well, I mean, if you include the guitar and like...
The guitar, the dinner,
at least,
2 trains,
at least
the Uber.
700, 800.
God.
Ben White? Fuck you. I hope you've learned. I hope you're in something stable now.
It can't be.
You can't be.
I feel like if
those
you're
people
that crazy,
never change.
Because that's what I was saying is like, and I'm 20 now, so obviously I don't know a lot, but I feel like 20 is the age where you can start wondering who's going to be weird forever, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's like you meet people like that and you're like, you're weird forever.
Right.
You're always going to be like this. Because that's too much. That is too much.
I felt like I just got like a...
You just cleanse your system.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I do have to pee, which I'm sorry.
We're going to go to commercial break right now.
We're going to go to commercial break. I do have a bladder issue, and this is sponsored by pee. Okay, we're back. Quick pee break. Yeah, you just told your story about the 5-day date. What I think is funny is if, like, you could have talked to yourself before the date and just been like, you're gonna lose your guitar. You're just like, how? He's not even coming here. Be like,
such a wild chain of events.
That's awful. Yeah, I don't
What about you? Do you have any bad, like, dates gone wrong stories?
This isn't a date gone wrong. This is like a Grindr hookup gone wrong.
Okay.
Which is, it's not bad. It's just like, it just got so weird so quickly. So like, I was like on Grindr and I had only talked to like a few guys. I'd only met up with like 2 to 3. And like all like young guys around my age. And I met up like with this guy and he was like average looking, but then he had a nice dick. So I was like, you know, counters it out, you know? It doesn't, but so
Cooper was on the prowl.
I was on the prowl because it was a hookup, you know? So, you know, if you have an ugly dick, that's a kind of a deal breaker. A lot of ugly dicks on Grindr, by the way. Been very surprised. I haven't met up with a dude in real life. I would be so worried about the dick the whole time. Anyway, so I'm going to meet up with this guy. And I get to his house, and then I don't know how I missed this because it's like something that you would just check automatically. But I get to his house, and I look at the age, and he was like 34, which I didn't realize he was. Which is like, it wasn't like a deal breaker as much as like, oh, like this guy's like 14 years older than me.
So you were being catfished?
No. This so far is my mistake. I had just sort of like not really seen that he was like 34, which wouldn't have necessarily been a deal breaker because he was like good looking enough. And I was like, you know, whatever. He seems like a normal guy, you know? And then, so I'm like, fuck, he's 34. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever. I'm here, you know, like I was already there. So then I go to walk into the house and I knock on the door. Or no, I didn't knock on the door because he said the door's open. I'm in the shower. Come in, which is already bad.
Terrifying.
Yeah, I hate that because it's like, why are you still in the shower? You knew I was here. There's a location thing on Grindr to tell you. So he's like, come in. I walk in. There is a child at a dinner table doing homework. I am here to fuck a man. And I know it's
God.
And it's like sort of like a townhouse condo type thing, and it's like not really well kept. So at first I'm just like,
what part of town was this?
This is like, fuck, where was it?
North Hollywood?
I think it was like North Valley. I think I can't remember specifically.
Okay,
I must have blocked it out of my mind, but I think like Northeast Valley. With like North Valley is a lot less fun than even regular Valley.
Okay.
Not even really a bad part of town, but just whatever.
So you walk it. How old is this kid?
The kid is like 8. and even before I asked, I felt bad, but I didn't know what to do. So I was like, his name's Henry. I was like, is Henry here? I'm asking a child. And he just looks at me. And I'm like,
this probably isn't the first time he's seen this.
Well, that was my thought, is I'm like, oh my God, like this kid, whoever's like roommate, this is his son, and he's just seeing weird guys.
So it's not his kid?
No, I don't think it was. I don't know.
Whose kid was it?
I think he had a roommate.
And the roommate had a son?
I assume.
Okay.
That's what I can only assume, because I can't imagine he had a kid. He did not seem like a guy that had a kid. He was like a single gay man that was very weird. So I don't know how he would have had a child. I don't know. But so I asked him, like, is Henry here? He doesn't respond, as he shouldn't. I feel bad. I might have even said sorry. and then I messaged him and I was like, where are you? And he's like, oh, I'm still in the shower. You can just go to my bedroom.
How's he texting you if he's in the shower?
I don't know if this was all, maybe I think he was out of the shower, but still, I think it was part of, he wanted me to be in the bedroom first. I don't know. So I walk into the bedroom and it's a gross bedroom to begin with, but there's also this like thing that's like it's like a large metal square, and it's not a cage, but there's like pipes connecting and they form a square. And it was like, I looked at it and I was like, it has to do with sex. Like, just looking at it, it was like black and it was in his bedroom. And there was like, I don't remember if there was a swing, but there was just like some sort of mechanism. I looked at it and I was like, this has to do with sex, whatever this is. So immediately I'm like, all he had was like a bed, whatever this is. And like, there's a kind of like room that's like, nothing matches anything. Like, he obviously painted it himself.
Was it like a swing?
I think it was a swing. I think it was.
How big was it? Like a big contraption?
Yeah,
that's probably a swing.
Yeah, it was like 7 feet tall. Yeah, but it didn't seem like big enough to like carry weight, so I didn't totally know what it was. But I was like, is this, you know what I mean? It was like,
that was a swing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it must have been a swing, but there wasn't a swing on it. But either way, I knew it was a swing of some sort, because I was like, this is sex, whatever this is. And then he's like, okay, I'm in the shower. And then I noticed that there's a bathroom or a door right next to his, there's a door next to the door to his bedroom. So I'm like, well, that's probably the bathroom. And then I said that I had to pee. So I go in there and he's not in there. This is the bathroom that he's not in. So I'm like,
terrifying.
So I'm like, why is he in another bathroom? And then there's a shower and the curtains are closed. And I'm starting to think, like, this is already weird enough. What if he's in that shower? So I open the shower curtain to see if he's in there, and he's not. But what there is like 4 to 6 of like literally like 14-inch, like 4-inch diameter dildos. Like the largest dildos I've ever seen. And once again, I have not even seen this guy in person, and I've pretty much like already decided.
This is the most disturbing thing I've ever heard.
I am really not comfortable at this, if you can believe it. So I see these dildos, and I'm just like, and I'm like new to hooking up with guys.
Just so you know, that isn't like a norm.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying like I'm new to this, and this is like Pro Bowl. Like, I am so far out of this. I'm like, I don't know. This guy's like, I'm like new to this, and I don't want to shame him. He's like a fucking freak, you know? And he has these huge fucking dildos. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. So I piss. Or I don't even know if I piss. I might have just went in there just to see if he was in there, because I was trying to catch him on his bullshit, you know? I was like, where is he? I'm going to find him, you know? But he's not in there. Because I'm like, I need the upper hand.
Did you hear the shower running in the first room?
No, but I thought maybe he turned it off and he was, I don't know.
It's just drying or something?
Yeah, I was like, I'm not going to pee with the shower curtain closed or whatever. I was like, so I had to look behind it. And I just like my thought, it was like horror and humor at the same time, because I was like, you know, when you're like scared, but you're laughing, where I was like, what the fuck? It was like, it was ridiculous. And then, so I'm like, Jesus Christ. So I go back into the room and I sit down and like, I had not made the conscious decision to leave yet, but my body is like, we're leaving, we're leaving. And then he comes in.
From where was he at? He was in the other bathroom?
The other bathroom, I guess. And he comes in and, he has basketball shorts on and like a shirt, and he's like a lot less attractive than he was.
Of course.
And it's not in a way that like because he has like a weird eye. He has like a lazy eye, but all of his pictures like caught it when it was normal, which is so rude. It's like, if you have a lazy eye, it has to be in at least one of your pictures. Don't drop that on me. But it's like, it's not just a lazy eye. It's like kind of both of his eyes kind of like flutter up. And so it's like kind of fluttering up. And then he's like, hey, I think he was like, do you want anything? And then he turned on the TV and he put on gay porn.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. I mean,
I never got that, because I've been in a situation where I hooked up with someone and like there's porn. It's like, we're about to have sex.
Yeah. Yeah. It only made sense in this situation because I was like, everything is awful besides the hot guys fucking. Everything. So it's terrible.
This is so wild.
And then
this is crazy, Coop.
Yeah. And he looks weird and like, I'm not comfortable, but there's just still a part of me that's like, just like horny and trying to look past the eyes. And then like,
oh God.
And then I think he was like, oh yeah, like I have some.
Did you ask about the kid in the other room? Or the fucking bathroom full of dildos?
It was a kind of situation where I felt like if I asked,
he was going to murder you.
It could get ugly. And
you asked too many questions.
Yeah, I was like,
what did he sound like? Did he sound normal?
No. He had like a light voice, kind of like, hey, but like not in like a cute way, and just sort of like kind of a gross, disconcerting way. So he had like and the funniest thing about it, he was like very like welcoming and was like, do you want anything to drink? And I was like, I am not going to consume anything from this house.
Yeah, from the wolf.
Yeah. And then, God. So I didn't ask about the kid. I didn't ask about the humongous dildos. But then at one point, so like now, I don't think I did anything. I didn't like kiss him or anything, but at one point, like he took off his shirt and we're like laying on the bed, and then I took off my shirt and I have my shirt off and my whole body's like, why is your shirt off? And then I look on his arm and there's like, it looks like staph infection, or like he's a junkie, but he doesn't seem like a junkie. But there's just like these weird like circles, like these like gross circles on his arm.
Like punctures, like needle stuff?
It seemed like more of an infection type thing. And I think I wish I could remember. I think I might have asked. I think I might have been like, what is up with the arm? And I don't know if I asked, but if I did, he kind of just brushed it off. And then we're there, my shirt's off, and I see the infection, and the infection is the last straw. And now
that's like
listen, Dylan, I'm a picky guy. I can deal with a kid and huge dildos.
Okay.
And then I started to have this worry because I realized that I don't want to be here and I have to leave and I don't know how he's going to react. And then it was, and at this point I'd only been with like nice Twinkie guys or women. So I've never had the feeling of like, what happens
if you're about to be murdered.
Yeah. Of like, what if I say no? Which is, that's what's interesting about me hooking up with guys. I get this whole new perspective of worrying about dying. And so I just tell him, I'm like, and I just tell him, I'm like, I don't think I can do this. And I made up kind of a lie where I was like, I'm just kind of new to this and I just don't really feel comfortable. And I'm really sorry to like drive all the way out here and do this. And to his credit, he's a really nice guy. And he was like, oh, he's weird. I see your look.
I'm giving Cooper a very
he was
disconcerting.
He was nice. He was a nice person. But his life was in shambles. There's this kid. So I just tell him, I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't think I can do this. I'm just kind of nervous. And then he was like, oh, well, maybe we'll do this again sometime. And I'm like, yeah, man, totally. And I put on my shirt, and I think I had taken my shoes off. I put my shoes on, and I get out of there. And then I go into my car, and I just all of it just like washes over me of just like that I was just there, you know? And just the feeling of just like, thank God I left, because it was so awful. And then like he
So okay. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, that was pretty much it. And then he like messaged me a couple times.
Plethora of questions.
And then he like messaged me a couple times later and was like, hey, sorry, it was weird. You ever want to meet up again? And I was just like, I don't know. And then he messaged me again. And then eventually I blocked him, which, you know, he's a nice guy. I felt bad about it. But it just, you know, it just wasn't for me.
How could you feel bad?
I felt bad because I don't know if he realized how gross his life was.
Okay. First off, okay, I want you to this is an apartment, right?
I knew that was a crazy story. I didn't realize how crazy it was
until you said it. Okay, I just want you to walk me through, it's an apartment, right?
It's like more of a townhouse.
Townhouse.
Like a community kind of thing.
Yeah. And he for sure has a roommate. Do you know if he has a roommate?
Yeah, I know. Now he mentioned roommate.
Okay. He has a roommate.
Yeah.
Is it like a 2-story townhouse?
Yeah.
And you were on the bottom floor?
On the bottom.
So, walk me through it. You walk in, and are you in the kitchen at that point?
I walk in. It's kind of a weird setup. Like, I walk in, and then ahead of me is, like, the kitchen. And then there's like the dining room where the child is, the dining table. Mm-hmm. It's like dining area. And then I think sort of diagonally past that was like more of a living room. And then like next to me, like directly next to me, sort of diagonally, is like the small walk to his room. And then also the door to the bathroom that connects to his room. It's kind of hard to explain. It was kind of a weird setup.
Okay.
And it was like a white house.
This roommate shouldn't have that kid there.
No.
Especially, it's like, my thought was like, what if the kid walks into that bathroom?
Yeah.
What if...
Yeah. Nah. And it was terrible because I felt like such a piece of shit immediately, because it's like I was going over there presumably to like fuck. And then you just see a child, and you're like, you're not supposed to be in this house. It was really bad.
What time was this at? Do you remember? Was it like late at night?
It was late. And
that there being a kid there is so disconcerting.
Yeah.
Where was the roommate? Does the roommate say, just don't walk into his part of the house?
Probably. There's probably a lot of that in that kid's life. There's probably a lot of unexplained...
Was it in like a bad neighborhood?
No, not bad.
That is wild.
It was awful. It was weird. It was almost like walking into like a crack house, but instead of a crack house, it was just like full of weirdness.
Yeah.
Like that kid's not going to grow up hardened. He's just going to grow up like showing kids porn in like 2nd grade. Whatever.
God.
It was awful.
That is so crazy.
Yeah.
I got a crazy story too. I think, you know what I think it is? And this is the part that I always like never understood about the gay community. Or that is like a thing that's difficult within it.
Yeah.
Is like gay people have been like hidden away for so long that like a lot of stuff becomes fetishized. And like when you're a kid, or at least when I, like I was a kid, there wasn't any like sex ed for gay kids.
Right.
So everything you did, you kind of had to figure out on your own. Mm-hmm. And most of the time that was through Grindr or weird apps.
Yeah. So it just starts off weird.
And no one tells you, like when you're young and horny that you can't trust everybody and that you can't,
Yeah.
That there's weird ass fucking crazy people on it too. Yeah. As many, there's also like nice, normal people.
Yeah.
But there's fucking crazy people.
Yeah.
Like I remember I just moved to Chicago. I was like 18 years old and I went to go like meet up with this guy, but I was like, where about hooking up? He wanted to hook up. But I remember going to his apartment and the lighting was creepy.
It's always lighting.
Yeah.
It's lighting and weird paint on the walls.
Yeah. And clutter.
Yeah. That's what all this place had.
Yeah.
You could tell he painted the walls himself.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah. Clutter, weird paint. I went into his apartment, and he just had that weird, like... It was literally like, hello? I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I've met a couple of those guys where they're like, hey, and you're like, why are you acting like...
You alone?
Yeah.
Yes?
Did you bring your dick?
Yeah, and I was just like... I knew instantly this guy was weird. But again, it's like, when you're young, no one teaches you, like... It takes, like, a lot of confidence to be like, I'm fucking leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even with this guy who was, like, gentle, it took a lot to leave.
Yeah.
And you have to teach yourself that, because it's so fetishized. It's so fetishized that it puts people in dangerous situations.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And so... I know immediately, I'm like, this guy's weird. I've got a bad feeling about it. He's got like this painting of his of his mom. That's like huge.
It's a great sign.
But she's not there.
she's fucking in the walls.
If she is, she doesn't have a pulse anymore.
Yeah. Bones are in the sink.
Yeah.
Is he older?
He was like maybe in his 30s.
Okay.
And I didn't mind like that part because I've always been like, fine with like older guys. He seemed like handsome, normal.
Yeah.
Online. And I go over there and it's just dimly lit. And he's like, I try to sway the conversation away from sex. Because I was like, there's no way. And thank God I did.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, like, I'm kind of new to this. I was going to do the same thing. Yeah. I was like, I'm kind of new to this, and I'm just, there's like this guy, I just wanted to meet people. He's like, oh, okay.
Oh, God.
And
he's like too cool
and
with
he's
everything.
Like, yeah, do you want anything to drink? And I was like, no, but I was so thirsty. Because I had just like...
Your lips are chapped.
I was like, I can't, I'm not drinking anything from this dude.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Right.
So I'm like, you ever see that episode of SpongeBob where SpongeBob goes to Sandy's house for the first time?
Water! Water!
So I'm like, dry mouth, and I remember he's like, let's I want to show you something. I was like...
You said he wanted to show you something?
Yeah. I was like, what?
You're not even asking what it is, you're just going, what? Just to the statement.
Let me show you something on my laptop. And we go into his room, and I don't know what it was either. I was like, Dylan, don't be in this room.
Yeah. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
You don't tell yourself you know, but you know.
But then at the same time, he was like your guy. He was like very sweet and like gentle.
Yeah.
But it was like serial killer gentle.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is... So I was like making small talk. I was lying about where I lived. I was like... It's like numbers, and I was like,
you're thinking
doing
smart.
Everything.
Right.
Trying to, like, if this shit pops off... And then he draws it in with, like, normal conversation, and he's, like, really into all these things. And then he's like, yeah, let me show you something. And he pulls up a laptop, and there's this file And he clicks on the file. Because I had told him, I was like, yeah, I like jacked off earlier or whatever I said to get out of sex.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, let me show you this. He pulls up this file. Cooper, it's like a massive file. So many videos in it. And I'm looking around the room and he opens a file. The most terrifying thing I've ever seen. It starts off with a shot out of his blinds. This guy that he's hooking up with. He's zooming in as he gets to the front. And I'm like, oh, God.
So you're like, I'm on film probably too, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And then he's like, and over there, that's where I hide the camera.
And he's like, this is how I make you trust me, because you know where the camera is.
And he's like, yeah, and I film them. I was like, do they know they're being filmed? He's like, sometimes. And I was just like, I said, I gotta go to the bathroom. And I left. I ran out the front door.
Damn. Is this a house?
This was
or
like
an apartment?
An apartment.
Are you upstairs?
Yeah, we're up a level.
It's so scary. So you have to run downstairs?
Yes.
Or get to the elevator?
I think it was just like a 2-story.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I literally escaped.
Yeah.
Because I was like, yeah, I gotta go to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah.
Whatever. I said to someone, I gotta take a call.
Yeah.
And I fucking sprinted out of that
Do you start
place.
running when you're in his house?
No. I act
keep
calm.
it cool. And then once you're out.
And then like once I got to the door, I was like,
yeah.
Go.
Right.
Sprinted out of there. Blocked him on everything. Terrifying.
Oh my God. I wonder what he thought you would think. Do you think he's waiting for the one guy to just be like, cool, hot. Oh my God, show the one of me.
I was terrified, dude.
That is fucking
I felt
awful.
like that was the closest where I was like, this guy is going to try to kill me.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't take anything to drink. The creepy-ass paintings and the clutter and the dim lights and the shitty kitchen with just mess and trash.
Oh my God. That's so awful.
I'm fucking like 18 at the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, is this what being gay is? Because this is fucking terrifying.
How many guys had you been with by then?
I don't know, like a few hookups, and I had like, I don't know, might have been right before I met the guy that I started dating.
Yeah.
Our first boyfriend, but it was terrifying. And I was just like, there's gotta be something for young people that's only for young people. Or, because I remember there's Grindr. It's like they don't tell you anything about being gay. It's shamed, a lot of the times in friend circles, in school. Like, I grew up in a more like religious suburb.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't know any of that. And then I find myself 18 in a huge city with crazy people.
Yeah.
But you just don't know. So it's 0 to 100 of like your learning curve.
Right.
And it's like, what's happening? And the only thing I remember ever like being normal was there's a site, and I think they still have it today. It's called Trevor Project. It's for like gay youth.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is, it's like you can chat with other people your same age.
Yeah. Like
when you were like a teenager.
Yeah.
So I remember making like a fake profile so that I could talk to other gay guys. Because Grindr was so...
Grindr's a lot.
Crazy. So I graduated... I had a little like Trevor Space was like, I'm gay.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, you're gay. One day we could kiss, you know?
Yeah.
All these like granulars of like some guy in Idaho that you'll never meet.
Right. Yeah.
You know? But I still thought like, wow, like looking back at his eye, I was like, that more of that shit should exist for young gay people, because you can't go, like, you're bringing these horny kids into the world.
Yeah.
They turn 18, and then they're on Grindr.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, you didn't know that there's all this crazy shit within the community. And it just felt like that was a normal place where it's like, I'm like 16, I'm talking to another 16-year-old.
Yeah.
But then it's like, you go, and it's like, no one ever, that's the problem there.
Well, it's a fucking...
Like, they say it's a promiscuous community. It's like, well, if that's the case, then...
You did it.
Right,
yeah,
right. You hate all these people, and then you said, now, and you don't tell these kids anything about it, so then they go into unsafe situations. Because, like, I wonder, it's like, what if I had drank something there?
Yeah.
What if he had been he was obvious that he was a bad guy.
Yeah. And it's like, you would accept that it's normal because society has been like, well, everything over there is crazy. So you're just like, I guess this is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a terrible system, because it's like, we're going to like shame a bunch of people and make them feel awful. And then we will have the young people date the people who have already been through that. So it's like, we're just going to mix confused young kids with damaged, confused adults. And then we're going to blame them for fucking being crazy sometimes because no one's helped anyone.
Right.
I mean, it's fucking...
It's so wild, dude.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. I don't know. But I'm glad we're both alive.
Yeah. I mean, you're sort of new to it, but you, even, you're younger too. It's like, I've had so many crazy situations that I don't think a lot of straight people understand as much as they'd like to.
No, it's such a different thing, because it's mixed in with like a regular, like, youthful, anxious naivety, but then it's also mixed in with this like weird taboo shame, and then it all gets blended together, because like even the more normal hookups I've had have been even like kind of weird, Like I told you about like this one guy I met up with like at my college. Like we went to his dorm, and like he was like really like kind of like, oh, I don't do this a lot, and I was like, oh, well, like neither do I. And he was like a lot more nervous, and we were like just like standing by his bed for so long that eventually I was like, can I sit on your bed? And I was like, we don't have to like start hooking up, but I've been standing for like 5 minutes. And he's like all like, like kind of like anxious. He's like, yeah, sure, it's fine. And then we kind of like start getting to it, and then he starts sucking my dick, and he starts like losing his mind, and he's like, and he's like, oh, and then he's like, do you want to fuck my face? And it's like this crazy thing of like, oh, like just like nervous, like, oh, I don't do this a lot, to then just like this like crazy like over sexualization. And it's like just because it's a whole group of people that no one has ever told, like, just like that it's fine and it's normal, and you can like,
that's so much of that shit comes out of shame, and so much of that shit comes out of households that like don't accept it, so they have to suppress that stuff. Yeah. And then they have this like, they just like, they don't know how to act, and they don't know how to like go on a date.
Yeah. Well, stuff gets so over sexualized because it's like, for so long, like gay people couldn't even have a date in public. So it's like, you had to meet up in private, obviously. And a lot of times it's like, if you're meeting up in private, time is of the essence, so you have to know what's going on, So it's like, we're going to meet up, and we're going to fuck, and then we're going to never see each other again, And like now, gay people can go and do like anything you'd like to. Like I can go and meet up with the guy, but it's like, it's built into the very nature of the system because of all the oppression that it's like, oh, we do this in secret, Like every time I fucked a guy, it's like been after like one, which is like, it is what it is. But I'm just saying, it's like because of all the oppression, it's like been built into the dating system for it to like be this like taboo underground thing. Right. When it's like,
and I want listeners to understand too, is like, as horrifying as some of these stories are, there's amazing people that I've met too. Through apps. I met 3 of the people that I dated through apps. One was Grindr, another was Tinder, and another one was another gay app And those are people that I'd been in relationships with.
Yeah. No, you meet tons of nice guys, but it's terrible that, like...
It's just weird that you subject young people to that and they have no... Like, gay kids don't have that resource when they're young, and especially if they grow up in areas where they think, like, they're weird for being who they are, it makes dating and sexual stuff all the more weird when they finally get out of the house.
Yeah. You're just like, you're building up this like internalized person that just like, how would you expect them to go out into the world and just be like, oh, I went to coffee with this guy, because all he's done has been told that like that is a sin.
Yeah. And all his friends, if they were homophobic or not homophobic, they're calling people faggot, and they're saying that, like, even if they're joking, that it puts a thing, it's like, oh, my friends are these people, it's a negative thing to be this way.
Yeah, that was a huge thing in my group. My group was like we were like a drug group, but still like too overly masculine. And I think that's why I like didn't really like accept that I liked dudes till after high school.
Right.
Because of how much they would just like throw around slurs, and that was always like the butt of the joke of like being gay. It's fucking ridiculous.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, and they see it as a joke, and maybe it is, but they don't know how much that fucks with a person.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I mean, it's like, the worst thing is seeing it happen to other people, because like, I remember I told a couple of my friends that I was pansexual, and it wasn't even necessarily coming out. It was just like, I just kind of like mentioned it.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, one of my friends, who we were always like curious about, because like he never dated anyone, and like he's always very weird about girls, and like we were always like wondering if he was in the closet. But then it was bad, because then like one of our friends was like, bro, if you're gay, just be gay, which is like an awful thing to do, you know? But anyway, I mentioned that I was pansexual, and I was like, I think I talked about like hooking up with this guy. And then my friend was like, oh man, like I gotta try that. And I think like, it was like, he said it like partly as a joke, and like, I recognized like immediately what it was. So I was just kind of like, yeah, I mean, for sure. But it was like so sad to me, because I was like, there's so much more behind that. And because of this friend group, and because of society, and probably his parents, it's just like, it's not even, it's like, I tried my best to just like have a very normal response of like, for sure. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to make it a big deal, but it's so fucked up to see that happening potentially to someone that you know and care about. And it's like,
totally. And little comments like that is like, I just remember growing up, there was a few people in my life, and I didn't know if they knew I was gay or not, but it was just like little things that they said that was like, oh, it's not weird. And they don't know how much that like means to a person who hasn't come out. It was just like saying something like, yeah, I got a gay friend, he's great, or blah blah.
Just to normalize it.
Right, because... Or even just talk about it, because I just remember always having to be like, oh, that guy's probably a faggot, huh? It's like, obviously I didn't feel that way.
Right, yeah.
Obviously I was like...
In your head, you're like, I bet that's a super nice guy.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'm making fun of someone who's me,
Yeah.
So,
that's the worst part.
Even like people who curb those jokes, or make people feel normal for that's their life, that just does wonders for people.
Yeah, it's crazy how much those little comments can like keep you going or just keep you down for so long.
Yeah.
And it's like people don't realize that, because it's so inbred that it's just like all these little quips all the time they don't realize could be like driving their friend to suicide,
Yeah,
it's fucked up. And it's because there's no fucking outreach.
And sometimes it's funny.
And sometimes it's hilarious, and you meet a guy with 12 dildos.
Some people don't know, like, to understand is like, sometimes people don't know that you're joking when you say those things.
Yeah.
I feel like we ended this episode too sentimental.
I think it was a natural progression. I think to try and go up
or funny again.
What's the point? We've hit our limit.
We've hit our limit.
So I think that's a good place to end.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. We shared some crazy ass stories.
Mm-hmm.
Those were all wild stories.
Yeah, they were all ridiculous. And, you know.
It's the first time I thought about them in years.
Right. It's so weird to tell another person that and to see the look on their face and you're like, oh yeah, this shouldn't have happened.
Right.
It shouldn't have happened to me and it shouldn't happen to anyone. But if you're a young kid out there, just know that pork butt is here for you.
Yeah. And fuck everyone else who makes you feel shitty for what you do.
And love yourself always.
Love you. Bye.
Bye-bye.